Hey guys, this is Anthony, or Terrell on YouTube. So I've been meaning to post this for, I don't know, about 2 weeks or so. I recently went on a trip to Las Vegas, and my wife had a lot of things she wanted to do, and I kind of was hoping to find something lock related. It was sort of my mini quest, for lack of any other real direction. So it was interesting. This is probably not the video I had hoped to make, but I feel that the knowledge or the memory of what I did is rapidly draining out of my brain. So at this point, I either have to make the video or give up on it. So let's see. So what I remember. Well, let's see. First of all, you might notice that there's a neat little. Of course, we have Jason's button here of the Lock Force guy, and we also have the Arts lock picking mug. The other side of the mug is kind of cool. I like the other logo, but I just love hearing Delp do keep it bloody legal. So that's really what I remember. So that's what I got, and I'm very happy about it. See his channel, Dark Arts Lock Picking, for more information on that, and I hope everything worked out okay with his MRI in his hand. Anyway, so going to Las Vegas, we did not check any bags, so as I was getting ready, I realized I'm not going to really take any lockpicks with me, which was probably fine, to be honest, but I probably would have taken some with me, but wasn't willing to risk it, since lockpicks aren't cheap. So that sucked a little bit, but it wasn't the end of the world. Anyway, let's see. So my first thought was, pardon me while I actually use the cup to drink some coffee. My first thought was, I'm gonna find some locksmiths, because at the very least, I'll buy some locks from some locksmiths. I'll give some business to some locksmiths. Sure, there are locks that I could buy from someplace at home, but whatever. I'm in Las Vegas. That's the least. There must be locksmiths all over the place. I will find one, and I'm new to Locksport, so I'm sure there's plenty of locks that I haven't seen before. So that sounds like a great idea. So that was not as easy as I thought it would be. Yeah, it turns out most locksmiths are mobile now, or at least in Las Vegas. So I was, about to trudge off to one, and my wife said, why don't you call them and make sure they have a storefront before you do? And I said, that's a good idea. No, I discovered that most, in fact, do not have a storefront. And I also remembered, that stuff that came out a few years ago and continues to be a thing where a lot of the Google ads for locksmiths are scammy. So anyway, I don't know how much that was true or how much were just guys working out of a truck, but for my purposes, wasn't going anywhere. We stayed in downtown, and I found a free downtown shuttle that went kind of in a little loop. It was called the Downtown Loop. And at one point, we were in that and checking things out, and I saw a locksmith storefront. I said, ooh, we got to go back to that. Well, turns out the storefront is, when I went back to it later, a couple days later, it turns out that the storefront was actually vacant. The locksmith was out of business, and the sign was just there. So, yeah, that sucked. Let's see. Another one was basically just kind of too far out of the way. We occasionally took Uber or whatever, but we bought a 3-day bus pass, and we tried to use it as much as possible, and that was really kind of a little far out there. So I kind of ended up giving up on the locksmith thing. I never ended up going to one, and yeah, so that was my first strikeout, you could say. My second inspiration was, you know what? I bet someone has brought old locks to pawn shops. Sounds great. Yeah, sure. I imagined finding a great old lock and saying, they'd probably, not too much want too much for it, or I'd figure something out. But yeah, maybe I'd find something there. Well, I've never actually been in pawn shops really very much at all. I can't remember when I was in one. And other than Las Vegas. So anyway, my first couple of pawn shops, I quickly realized that pawn shops do not really have locks. They the ones I went into didn't have any locks at all. They are mostly electronics and tools and jewelry, and watches, which are kind of like jewelry as well. So that was disheartening. I did end up wandering through. We had like an hour before we had to leave. I ended up going to the pawn shop that's associated with some TV show, a guy on some TV show called Pawn Stars. That also failed to have any locks. Although I had a very nice cardboard cutout of the guy who was in the show, but not relevant to our discussion or really even to my life. So, yeah. So strike two. And at one point we were wandering about, trying to get from here to there. And if you've ever been to Las Vegas, you know that getting from here to there is actually not that simple. You have to go up and over and around and through a bunch of stuff. So at some point we ended up going through some place. I want to say it was called Excalibur or King Arthur's Castle or something. I don't know. It was one of those places. And I ended up in some magic store, and I found, this is not really a strike. It's sort of like, I found this. Now, this is not really like impressive. Obviously, there's really no new information here. It's pretty old school. I mean, it's all still relevant, funnily enough. Here's an old school snap gun, which is pretty cool in its own way. But, you know, I'm like, what's the deal with this? It's got some Houdini magic thing on the back. I don't even know how much I paid for it. It probably wasn't $10. I probably would have, slapped myself if I paid $10 for it. But I wanted something in case I completely struck out. So, you know, what's the deal with this thing? There's Houdini again. There's no copyright page. It's sold out of an actual storefront. I don't know. I researched it. Is it actually from the CIA? Who knows? Maybe 3 decades ago. I researched a little bit online before making this video. There seems to be no clear attribution. There's stuff on the internet. It's in the Internet Archive a couple of times. It was definitely available in 2010. Who knows? I wasn't very impressed. There's no new information. I just wanted something. At that point, the trip was halfway over, and I'm thinking, I struck out in the locksmiths, I struck out in the pawn shop. What the hell's going on here? So, at least I could say I had something. So, that was, that was really not that impressive, to be honest. Anyway, so, working off my list. So, I was mentioning this to all of the, or most of the people that I encountered, including Uber, Lyft drivers, etc., or shuttle drivers, and one of them mentioned an arts district, and maybe some antique stores in the art district, and I thought, ooh, antiques, that sounds expensive. Ooh, I don't know, but I really wanted to have something other than this thing to bring home for the video. So I said, all right, let's do it. Well, turns out the arts district is in that downtown area, which had the free bus anyway. So I found, I think it's called Antique Row or something. I don't know if that's an informal name or something I made up, but there were a bunch of antique shops. I struck out on several of them. There were a bunch of clothing stores. There was a clocksmith, which is not a locksmith. It has to do with clocks. I thought maybe, there's a shoe store lock connection. Maybe there's a clock lock connection. Not so much. I did find one store that had an old lock that wanted $100 for it, and I said, oh, yeah, no. My worst fears were realized. But at the very end of Antique Row, I found a place called Antique Mall, and they actually had some locks for a decent price, and I was very happy about this. So I actually got some, and then I went back separately so that I could get another one for the giveaway that I have going on right now. So, stuff I got here, let's see, Slaymaker, what the hell is that? Oh, apparently this is the place we went to, who gave me a business card for for frequent shopper discount, which won't come in handy for me. Let's see, an Ilko independent lock company thingamabobber. What is that? It's kind of got a cool, it's an old master lock, and it's got a cool lion on it. I'm sure some of you guys have seen these things before, but it's all new to me. So that's actually pretty cool. I love the old key here. The dramatic thing, dramatic lettering, Master Lock Co. Yeah, that's pretty cool, actually. I really like that. I will pick these at some point, but this video is probably getting a little on the long side. So, and what else do we have? An old, I think this is a lever lock, steel state 6 lever. Yeah, don't know that one either. That's kind of cool. And there's another one in here. Another sleigh maker. So, yeah, so that's pretty cool. Very affordable, very cool. They wanted to move their inventory, and I wanted to move their inventory off of their shelves into my pocket. So, or my bag anyway. So it was a good price. It was actually they call Antique Mall. It had a ton of different sellers. I guess it was all on consignment, and yeah, so that worked out very well. I was very psyched about all of that. So that was pretty much mission accomplished. Toward the end of the trip, like I said, I did go back to get an extra one for the giveaway that I have going on right now, sleigh maker. Last couple of things, there was a heart full of locks for love. I forget what the term that we have for this is, when a bunch of people put up locks, either like on a bridge or a sculpture or something. It was in some books. Anyway, yeah, but it was pretty cool. There were a lot of nice locks there. At one point, I got a picture of one of the locks on this heart sculpture. One of them said, in the same frame, I have a lock that says "fuck love," and then there's another lock which says "our love forever, Adam and Sue," or something like that. So both, pretty much right next to each other. So I thought that was kind of funny and cool. Let's see. Another thing I'm going to try to insert the picture of is actually just as we were getting started on our trip, I saw a lock around a valve on the men's urinal, and it was called, I don't know if this was a pun intended, it was called Nut Locker. And it was pretty freaking hilarious. I am also hoping to insert a picture of that in the video. I later researched it. It's a thing. It's meant to protect these valuable nuts or valves. And, it was a bus station. It was a little sketchy, but, whatever. But it was kind of a cool looking lock. I may actually try to obtain one, just to mess around with it. But yeah, so that was pretty cool. And then, the last thing, that I got on my trip to Las Vegas was, and I hope I can make this the thumbnail, or maybe not. Maybe I'll leave it as a surprise for the both of you who have hung out here till the end. I got something cool, probably within a couple 100 feet of the lock sculpture thing. I got this. I actually got someone to airbrush a hat with hashtag LockSportYouTube on it. We were just wandering around. I saw a guy who had a hat store where he would do designs, and I was like, yeah, whatever. But then I saw the YouTube logo, and I think the original hat was like addicted to YouTube with the logo like that. And the YouTube arrow just beckoned to me, and the guy was in there. I said, hey, do you do custom stuff? And he said, yeah, that's the whole point, is I do custom stuff. I said, could you do this? He said, absolutely. You got $20, I get your LockSport YouTube hat. So another meeting of the minds occurred, and there it is. So anyway, I don't know that I'm going to be wearing it out, because I'm not much of a hat wearer, to be honest. But I love it. It's awesome. Anyway, thank you for whoever has managed to stay to the end. I appreciate it. And I will try to pick on probably my next video when I do an update to the giveaway. I actually had intended to pick on this video, but as I was getting into it and trying to remember what the hell happened before all of the knowledge and experiences drained out of my brain like water, I got carried away and storytelling and didn't end up picking, but that's probably just as well, because oh my god, it's already 15 minutes. So All right, thank you very much. The next video, I'll do a little bit of picking and an update on the giveaway just to confirm that I have everyone, and I have Pocket Wound twice. So thank you for that. She did the extra shout out thing. So, all right, thank you very much. I will see you all online. Thanks. Some saying or something. Don't bother nobody. Yeah, he's gonna